Hello, welcome back to the number one podcast filmed in my kitchen, or the entirety of my house. If you notice, we are Casey less this week. It's usually me that's missing, but Casey's on vacation right now, so I hope he's enjoying himself. I saw some updates that he had stopped by Fun Spot, and that is a massive arcade that King of Kong was filmed at, and I love that place, and I'm very jealous. I don't know if he got in or not, because I follow them on Facebook, and it seems like they've been shut down for Corona, possibly. So I'm curious to hear what an arcade looks like during a pandemic, or if he just stopped by there. But I know it's pretty far out of the way to stop there without it being open. So I'd imagine it's probably open. I'm just curious what it looks like, if people are actually in there or what. But anyways, this is the current backloggers, or the Cody backloggers, and essentially it's a podcast where we are trying to play our backlogs of maybe movies, television, and video games. But as you can see, I'm surrounded currently. It's like this area, and to the right of me, there might be some to the left of me, because I wanted to just show you the severity of my hoarding, my media hoarding. I take comfort in the fact that the only thing I do hoard is media, but it gets a little out of hand, especially if something's cheap enough. I will usually buy it, and each week I'm like, this is it, I'm done buying. But I think last week I told you guys that this is it. I got to slow down and start getting through some of this stuff. So I guess just to get it out of the way, because this already feels so ridiculous, we'll start with pickups, video game pickup, or media pickups. I'll start with probably the least cool items, which is for the viewers anyways, is VHS tapes. Usually if something came out on DVD, I will not buy the VHS, and if something came out on a Blu-ray, I will not buy the DVD. But I did not have my phone with me to know this, but I figured, I went to a yard sale, and a lady had a stack of VHS tapes, and I was like, how much? She's like, make an offer. And I said 25 cents a piece. I think it came in too high. She immediately took it. She's like, yes. I probably could have got them for free, which is usually how VHS tapes are at yard sales. Usually you get them incredibly cheap. I picked this one up. It's The Island of Dr. Moreau. And the reason I picked this up, there's a fantastic documentary on this, which is funny. The documentary on this film is, I'm sure, leagues greater than the actual film. It was about the production and how the making of this movie was absolutely insane. You have Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando, but this is not the Godfather Marlon Brando. This is the old Marlon Brando, kind of maybe losing his mind a little bit. And I think the documentary is about the guy that initially was making this movie. And he, I think, went incredibly over budget. You should just go check out the documentary on it. So I picked it up just because it's like, I want to see I never watched the actual movie. I just watched the documentary about it. This is a rental copy, which is another thing I like about VHS tapes. If you can find rental copies that have like the way that this was definitely a mom and pop shop, the way they categorize their rentals, and a little sticker there telling it. So I always love that. Just even like the little sticker there for their categorizing. I never clean off rental stickers off any of my media. I think it's a little cool little piece on it, that little history I don't want to ruin. This is good. There's just so much fucking media around me right now. Let me move this shit. I'll set it right here. And then the next one I got was this VHS tape called Hype, and it looks like just a documentary about bands, 90s bands. They have the first ever performance of Smells Like Teen Spirit and an exclusive interview with Pearl Jam. And there's like a whole list of bands up here towards the top. So it just looked like some 90s shit that I will probably never watch. But as you can see, I also got this new release. Like, look how sick that sticker is. That's mainly why I picked these up. These things had some cool stickers on them, and for 25 cents. So this is a Dragon Fight. Clearly not a new release. This was released in 1993, the year I was born. So that's probably how long that sticker's been on there. It just looks incredibly cheesy. Yeah, that is. If you're listening to this audio or minimized, I'm holding up the back of it, and there's a badass guy in a leather coat riding a motorcycle, and a naked lady, or almost naked lady in the back. This also looks like this would have never been released on DVD. Probably was, though. I know nothing about any of these movies, so if you guys have watched any of these, please leave a comment below. Let me know about these guys. This one is Cutaway, which is, you got Dennis Rodman in it. That's what caught me on that one. I have no problem picking that. I loved Dennis Rodman. I think for that generation of basketball players, I think Dennis Rodman was my favorite player. That was definitely before my time. The Dennis Rodman I knew growing up was the crazy Dennis Rodman, and he still does not. There's no normalcy with that guy. If you watch, he's got a really good documentary of him going to North Korea to play for Kim Jong-un. The next VHS tape, I've heard of this movie, but I picked it up because, man, this is some sick-ass art on that. I think VHS tapes had the best art, especially for horror. It's called The Legend of Boggy Creek. Video treasure. This is from 1990. This was also another rental copy. Oh god, this one looks really bad. I picked this one up just based purely on the art. Once again, I did not have cell phone service there to see if these had DVD releases. This is called Rich and Love. Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up. I've never even heard of this, but it looks like a straight to VHS tape, straight to tape. This one, picked it up purely because, once again, because of the art. This is probably this might be the coolest art out of everything I picked up so far. But check that out. That is some cool shit there, man. This is from 1989. Circuitry Man. They even have like a little price tag there from some company called Farmore. I've never heard of that. Oh, this is property of Farmore. So this was also a rental. Rental. Like, look at that. Property of Far. That. I hate people that go out of their way to clean stickers off of shit. Media. GameStop stickers, I get it, because they're so common and they're pretty annoying. But man, I love some like, either from you have back in that day. I kind of caught the ass end of it, but it seemed like everybody had rental stores in their businesses, like Drug Mart, which is like a local pharmacy. A lot of your pharmacies had rental stores. You had mom and pop rental stores. And then, of course, you had your Hollywood Videos and Blockbusters. I lived near Canton, Ohio, and we did not have a lot of Blockbusters. And because of that, we had a lot of odd and end. One of the ones we rented from a lot was actually a tanning salon that also had a rental store connected to it. That was a weird time when it was pretty easy to make money off rental stores. But man, I would kill for some of those tapes with it. They had some gaudy logo on there that was like a sun, like Tanning Plus or something like that with stickers on there. The rental copies. I'd kill for some of those. But the next one's called My American Cousin. This looks like it's from a library in Wadsworth, Ohio. They also got another sticker on there as well. Also, check this out. This is sick. This would be a cool tattoo. You see that? Try to focus the camera here. Basically, it looks like it says media. Is that all it says on there? Yeah, media. But in that sick, like late 80s, early 90s font. Check it out, dude. He's smoking cigarettes on the back, too. That is... Oh, dude, she's kissing herself. My American Cousin. This is like a Alabama film, maybe. They also got some numbers there on the bottom for the way however they categorize their stuff. This has got pretty cool art. This might be the second best art, but the coolest case. This is a Creature from the Haunted Sea. Look at that casing on that guy. This is Video Classics at the bottom. This is a guaranteed superior quality product. That would also be a cool tattoo. That little thing there. A guaranteed superior quality product. Put it on my heart, you know. That'd be a cool tattoo. So I got all of those for $2. Mainly because of the art, man. And most of these look like these would have never got DVD releases. And if they did, they definitely wouldn't have probably not too many Blu-ray releases of that stuff. Let's see, how else? I'm trying to separate all these pickups in clumps of how I bought them or where I bought them. Let's see. We'll do this one. We'll start with the least interesting stuff. There's an online auction place that I bid on stuff for eBay. And when you go pick up your items, they also have a thrift store. So I go through their thrift store, and in there, I found a Type S controller. It actually still has the connector, the little extra breakaway cable here, so you didn't rip your console off the wall. Which for some reason are usually always missing. So even if you find these little guys by themselves, they're usually worth picking up. But I paid $1 for that. Let's see, oh man, I can't get this thing to go. There we go. It's got a little wear on the nubs. This was definitely heavily played, but those are very, very durable controllers. And then at the same thrift store, they had Wolfenstein, Return to Wolfenstein Castle, or Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Jesus. It's complete. It seems to be in really good shape. Maybe a little resurfacing. And then on the Far Cry Instincts, these would have been, were these $1 as well? Or $2 maybe? So I think for $7, well, 3 games and the controller. And then Megamind Ultimate Showdown. Let's see. Seems to be in decent shape. It's complete, I figured. I don't care what the game is. If it's on Xbox, I usually pick it up. The plan is to eventually one day have a complete collection of, well, currently all 3 systems. So that's all I picked up there at that store. At a yard sale today, it was a pretty cool yard sale, but they're priced accordingly. The husband collected Legos, which is always a good sign because you're like, man, I could flip those quickly on eBay. But of course they were, wow, his stuff was priced, it was all new. It was priced what you would see in stores, not even resale market. And then his wife, he also collected Nerf guns, but also once again priced accordingly. And they had his wife was a horror collector. That almost sound like whore. She collects horrors, like scary movies. So I'm a sucker for some cheesy horror movies. And I was going through her stuff. I probably could have hung out there, but it was really awkward. If you ever have a yard sale, can you do your customers a service and not make it? Don't go out of your way to make stuff awkward. they were sitting right on top of the DVDs, just staring at me. And I would try to have small conversations. Like, clearly she liked scary movies. So I'd be like, "Is this a good movie? What did you think about this movie?" Just something to I really didn't give a shit, but just something to break the to break the ice. And I asked that question, and while she's staring at me, she looked at her phone and answered a phone call, and it was just really awkward. So, but at her sale, I got a double pack of Wishmaster 1 and 2, which is a movie series I've been wanting to watch. So, and then Wishmaster 3, and I don't think these might have got Blu-ray releases, but I really don't give a shit too much about horror movies. And it actually comes with another free movie too, called From Hell. Her DVDs were $1 a piece. And then this one called Vampire Journals. It just looks, once again, some 90s cheese. That's all I picked up from them. Their yard sale was priced pretty high. Their prices were above eBay for sure. Okay, so the next 3 pickups are purely video games here. Let's see. How do I want to do? We'll start with this one. So, I had picked up some Logitech mice to sell on eBay. I bought 19 of them, and for $10, 10 extra dollars onto the mice, he added in these games. F-14 Tomcat, which I love some shmups on handhelds. I feel like that's a good screen ratio. Or I don't even know what you'd describe it as for shoot 'em ups. And then also in the same bundle for $10, Spy Hunter and Super Sprint. Some arcade games on the Game Boy Advance SP. And then also included in the $10 deal was A Boy and His Blob and 3D World Runner. So those 4, $2.50 each. I don't think you can really beat that. It's insane to find any NES game for $2.50 each, let alone a couple decent games. And that was at like a pawn shop. I actually used to work at that pawn shop. It's changed hands a couple times, different owners, but he has great deals. Usually if you bundle, you know how it is, you bundle stuff up. If you plan on buying a bunch of stuff, make a pile and be like, and offer them something less than what they're asking for. It usually works out pretty good for me. Let's see. I'm trying to divvy things up here to where it's from the same. The next 2 pickups are different days, but from the same game store that's actually right next door to the pawn shop. So this pile. Sorry, I'm trying to remember exactly. Okay, for $30. I remember this now. $30. I got The Tick on the Sega Genesis. Junction on the Sega Genesis. Complete in-box Little Deviants for the Vita, which if I find box Vita stuff, I'm usually picking it up because that stuff's kind of going through a rise in prices. On the Sega Genesis, this is called Green Dog and the Beach Super Surfer Dude. This just looks absolutely ridiculous. This is complete in box. Actually super minty. This was barely played. It even has a little tab still on it. And then this one is probably my favorite one of the pickups. Was Shadow of the Beast 2. One does not have the manual, but it has the case, and finding Genesis games in the case is always a bonus. Especially because this guy at this game store, he will bundle some nice deals for you, but if something has its box or manual, it does not change the price. Whatever price charting says for loose is what he charges. So for $30, I got all of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's figure that out. I'm curious what each of those games cost. So $6 a piece. I don't think you can complain too much about that. Then today, this week, he is having an Independence or 4th of July sale at the same game store. This is the last of the pickup stuff. I'm sure you guys are ready to move on. If you find the pickup stuff interesting, can you maybe leave a comment? If not, it's something we could definitely, or I could definitely slim down or not do so much of. Which hopefully with me chilling out and buying shit will not be so crazy. I'll save this one for last just because it's crazy. All right, this whole set I'm about to show you, the last one here, is $80, which is definitely the most I've ever spent in his store. We'll start with this one. Let's see, there you go. This is Trampoline Terror. Complete, I think. Yep, complete. Manual's a little messed up. Chichibara Bikini Zombie. That's just a fantastic name. That's complete. It's a little rough, so I have no idea if that'll play. Good times. Then I bought two copies of Legacy of Kain. He had them marked at like $8, but with the bundle, kind of end up making them $5. But this is actually becoming kind of a sought-after game. Any of the Legacy of Kain stuff really is. And they're great games. Zack and Wiki, which Reggie from Metal Jesus Rocks. It's some games that he recommended picking up. That is complete. Manual. This one just looks ridiculous. And I think this has gotten a few other releases. Not this version, but there's a lot of Monkey King games. Complete. And then this one I've been looking for quite a while. That is Punch Out on the Wii. I have a feeling this will be a rare game in the future. It is complete in box. It even has like the extra inserts. I was excited about that one. Persona 4 Arena. A few of these I know I have copies of, and like I picked up 2 copies of Legacy of Kain. But when I see them for good price, I'll pick them up for eBay or trade fodder. Ooh, I'd venture to say this Persona will not work. That's got some scratches in it. He's got an amazing return policy, though. If something doesn't work, he'll bring it back in, and he will give you store credit or money back. No questions asked. And then, on the Wii U, Zelda Wind Waker HD. Oh, get that out of the way. And then the last of this $80 deal was Maui Mallard. This is just a Disney SNES game that looked good. And then while I was there, somebody brought games in to trade, and he was nice enough to let me go through their stuff after he purchased it. And this is one I've been looking for. It's a, from my understanding, it's a rare game, but it's also not that expensive. It's, I think, somewhere at maybe $20, maybe. McKids. It's also got a great rental sticker on the back of it. I don't know if you could see the tripod with the camera on the front too. I'll try to keep that label on there. And then this one I didn't expect to see, but Saturday Night Slam Masters for the Genesis. It is a Capcom wrestling game. From my understanding, the SNES version is not worth much, but I think this is worth somewhere around $40, $35 to $40. And I mean, if I was to buy this on eBay, That'd be half of the $80 I spent. On eBay, easily this would have been this on eBay would have been $80. That's not including tax or shipping. I'm guessing. That's right off the top of my head. So for all of this for 80, it was a pretty good deal for me. And I like supporting him. He's a super nice guy. If you guys are ever in Coshocton, Ohio, which I'm sure you won't be, barely anybody is there, there's a KFC buffet and that video game store. You need to stop at both of those. Buffets are not open yet. It's making me a little sad. But yeah, so that is all of my pickups this week. That is insane. It's already like, half an hour of the show? You guys are probably already checked out. Oh. I'm excited to get back in my game room, though, and start putting a lot of the stuff away. So let's go to the next part of the show here. Let me pull up the Google Doc. Initially, my idea was to maybe follow along with how Casey does it, but I just feel that, we're going to put a little Cody flavor on it. This week was kind of a slow week for going through the backlog. Clearly not buying stuff, though. The movie I watched this week was Popcorn. It's a 1991 horror film, but it almost puts off vibes like it's from the early 80s. It's almost like a swan song to the 80s horror films. It's almost very meta, too, because it's about these film students that want to put on a film festival. So almost the whole movie is shot in a movie theater. And initially I thought maybe it was like about killer popcorn or something crazy like that, but it almost has fuck all to do with popcorn. So I don't know where that name comes from. But it's very meta. Almost the whole thing is shot in a movie theater of people watching these fake B horror movies. So you're watching a B horror film while they watch B horror films. It's very interesting. And the premise of the fake movies could almost be movies themselves. It's pretty sick. I love movies about movie theaters, like your Phantom at the Megaplex when I was a kid. Dirty Work has got some scenes in a movie theater. Ghost World's got some scenes in a movie theater. And I don't know, I always liked, even before I worked at a movie theater, it was always seeing a movie theater in a movie was always pretty neat, especially because Ghost World and Dirty Work are pretty accurate on how working at movie theaters go. But this was directed by, and he also was the protagonist, was another film series I like is called Porky's. It's from the early 80s. The guy that plays Billy in that is actually the director and the main villain in this one, which I didn't know that until I started trying to find information on the director. And this honestly looks like his directing debut, and might have been one of the last, at least the last big thing he directed. So it might have left him a little bad taste in his mouth. But the synth music, the soundtrack's amazing. If you like cheesy horror or good, I don't want to spoil it too much for you, but if you like good special effects, it's amazing. It's only like an hour and a half, and it's available on YouTube. The YouTube copy is a little shitty, though, so maybe if you can, pick it up on DVD. But yeah, I recommend it. This week, playing-wise, I have been only playing Sunset Overdrive. I feel like I'm getting pretty close to the end. I'm still really enjoying it. It does get a little repetitive, and they've introduced some group of characters I'm not a big fan of. It's the cheerleaders. They're one of the last groups you unlock, and I'm just not vibing with them. I don't know how else to describe it. It's getting a little repetitive. The stuff's wearing on me a little bit. But so far, the pinnacle of the game has been right before you meet the cheerleaders. You get this super OP weapon, and they just send like a million guys at you. And it almost feels like a Dynasty Warriors, and I love those games as a kid. you feel super powerful and just hack and slash. But it seems like after that moment, that was such a high point in the game that everything after that has felt like it's felt pretty subpar and pretty repetitive. But I know I'm getting pretty close to it, so I'm excited to get it finished and move on to my next game, and to stop buying shit so I can actually catch up on games, because essentially that's the point of this, right? This is the point of the show, is for us to get through our backlogs and play current games. Okay, let's move on to news, since I really didn't watch or play much this week. There's actually a decent amount of news. Nothing too crazy, but some decent news. It looks like Iron Man VR is getting some decent reviews, which is kind of shocking. I thought this thing would flop. I'm not. What I can see from the videos I'm watching of people reviewing or playing it, it's not what I would have wanted. I would have wanted maybe like Age of Ultron, like fighting robots or something like that, and beating people up. But so far, I'm just seeing a lot of generic flying robots that you point and shoot at and fly around a little bit. And the HUD of the VR game, I feel like we've all seen Avengers, and we know what the HUD of Iron Man looks like, or we all have in our vision or in our minds of what it looks like in the movie. And the movies is such a big thing that seeing anything out of that is kind of throwing me off. And the HUD in the movies, it's kind of like off to his peripherals, but in the game it almost seems like it's like, if you're looking at me, it's almost like the outline of his face, and it almost looks like it's doing more damage than good. The graphics are not the greatest. The FPS is a little messed. I feel like the Batman VR experience looks 10 times better than what this Iron Man one does. I haven't played it, but the reviews they're seeming like 8s, which is probably double of what I expected the reviews to be. So if I have a chance to play it, of course I'll play it. And once I get a Sony or a PlayStation VR, I'd definitely give it a go. The next part of the news is EVO, which is a yearly conference of, I would say, probably tournaments for every fighting game. It was canceled for Corona, and they moved it to EVO Online. And essentially what it is you have your Mortal Kombat, all your fighting games, your Smash, and all of these super nerdy guys and guys from Japan. They all meet in a spot, and they fight, and it's tournament style, and they crown number one. And I like to keep up with it purely for Street Fighter. I'm terrible at Street Fighter and barely know how to play it, but I enjoy watching it. And Americans have never won. It's always a Japanese guy that wins in Street Fighter. And Fox is an American that he's looking promising, like especially a couple years ago, it really looked like he could take it home. So I keep up with it for that reason, is I want to see an American finally take Street Fighter. But so they moved it online because of the Corona thing. That makes sense. And it's gaming, so it's pretty easy to move online. There was some allegations pointed at just about everybody. It seemed like even the CEO of EVO got caught up in some weird stuff about giving away tokens to kids in the 90s to swim in nude in their underwear or something weird like that, man. And there's looks like specific players in the community are getting some allegations thrown to themselves. If you go read the article about it, man, it's serious stuff, but it's also kind of ridiculous to read, because instead of using their real names, they use their gamer tags. So these are made up gamer tags I'm about to use, but the article goes along something like, furthermore, this is why I'm not a journalist. More allegations have been shown that Frosty Panda last year at EVO kissed Kimi Star on the cheek, and neither of them really knew what was happening. And it's just like, that was so cringy. That story was so cringy. But I just wish it's because it's a serious thing, but then they have these stupid chibi names. You can go read IGN's got a pretty up-to-date, organized list of everything that's going on. But the usernames within those pretty serious paragraphs are pretty ridiculous. So all of Evo is canceled now because of that. All of these fighting games were pulling out. Fox had even pulled out, so he's not being involved. So Evo is canceled completely this year, so which sucks because I know a lot of guys probably use the money they win to support themselves. The next part of the news is Fable 4 trademark. The trademark was revived, which from my understanding is a pretty normal thing for Microsoft to step in and say, hey, we still want this Fable 4 trademark. But I guess the way they had filed previously was saying we have no future plans, telling the trademark people like, yo, what's up, we want this, but we have no plans. But the new way they revived the trademark was saying, yes, we do have future plans. And with the Forza creators playground, hiring people to work on an RPG project and opening a new studio. And then last week, a couple weeks ago, they had started a Fable Twitter. And Microsoft's trying to play all this stuff off. But I think we'll see some Fable 4 news at the next press conference sometime this month. And hopefully with a price, man, because I want to know how much this shit's going to cost me. So expect that. I'm guessing the next Microsoft event they will definitely be talking about Fable 4. The next one, I will keep the spoiler out of it, but Mega Bloks had posted some images online of their Halo Infinite designs, and I guess somebody had caught it that the character design of one of the characters spoiled a big moment in the game, and Mega Bloks, I guess, erased these images off the internet. But IGN saved some, so if you guys really want to spoil Infinite for yourself, go check out those images. I have no idea what it pertains to. I absolutely hate spoilers, and we'll definitely be staying far away from that. But it kind of makes me wonder what happened, where the communication fell apart, that Mega Bloks thought it was okay to post those. I'm curious to play Halo Infinite after I'm done playing. I want to see what those Mega Bloks spoilers were, because these things have to come out with the game. So if you see these on the shelf, is it also going to spoil the game for me? Because you don't release the game and then wait a month later then release Mega Bloks. Like, I have a feeling these are going to be released, leading into Halo Infinite. So, that's something to look out for. Stay away from the cheap Lego aisle, the Mega Bloks section. Which, do stores even have Mega Bloks anymore? I know Toys R Us used to have a huge Mega Bloks section, but I don't know, I'll have to check out Target or something next time I go and see if they have a Mega Bloks section. So the next part of the news is just kind of mind-boggling to me. This is not really news either. It's just something that I've realized, and it's kind of crazy. I guess currently there are more than 50 movies/shows in the works that are based on video game IP. And included in that is MoviePass, which last year they were the company where you could pay a monthly subscription and you get to watch movies free. They're involved with another company in making Centipede and a Missile Command movie. Which is kind of crazy, because didn't we just do this with Pixels and Rampage, and it kind of fell on its ass? And I'm guessing the IPs, they have to be cheap. Like, who wants to make a Centipede or Missile Command movie? But as far as I know, this is the MoviePass that last year almost went out of business because of such a cash drain on their company. But also included in that 50 movies and shows is Cuphead. Netflix on their social media released a teaser / interviews for their Cuphead TV show. They kind of had the voice actors and the animators and clips of the show, and I don't know how to feel about it. It looks cool. I like the design of it. But the guy voicing Cuphead sounds incredibly annoying. The voice, he seems like a really nice guy, but the voice is kind of annoying to me, and it's throwing me off. But I mean, it's Netflix. It's free. What do you have to lose? So I'll give that a go. But it almost seems too late at this point. Even like Cuphead toys and all that stuff are off the shelves and have been discontinued, and the hype almost seems, dying. So maybe this could inject some more hype into Cuphead, because they have great merchandise. I would love to see the merchandise back on shelves. Maybe now we'll get like a new merchandise with the Netflix tags on it, like you have with Stranger Things. And then just this is news, but also just like a reminder. Devolver Direct, which is my favorite ridiculous E3 press conference. They're going to be broadcasting on July 11th. I'm excited to see what they do. They always have such a great E3 presence. If you've never seen them, it's almost like they parody. It's almost like Adult Swim made a parody of E3. And over the years, they've continued the same storyline of I think it's their CEO. They're worth rewatching, especially if you like that practical effects and ridiculousness. So that's July 11th. Make sure you set your alarms for that. And then the last three pieces of news here. Timex announced on July 7th for the total of $80, you will be able to order their retro-styled Timexes, which you have the black and the gold. They're doing a Pac-Man theme. And the gold Timex and the Casio calculator watch and the gold Timex are two of my favorite watches. It is really hard right now. I'm trying not to spend money to not buy that Timex watch, because they said this is one and done. And I'd kill for that gold Timex Pac-Man watch. And it seems like the newer Casio calculator watches are great, so I have a couple of those. But the Timex have really cheapened up. Even the gold cheap ones are almost like plastic now. But the fact that they're going back to like the original style, where it's actually metal, it looks like it's metal with the Pac-Man design on it. I would love to have that watch. I would prefer that watch over a Rolex or a smartwatch. It looks great. I recommend looking it up. So it's going to be really hard on July 7th not to order one of those. The next piece of news is it's kind of mind-blowing. Like, I couldn't believe it happened, and I have seen zero buzz about it, but Amazon Studio has teased a Fallout TV show that they're working on with the guy that made Westworld. At this point, I'm getting a little tired of the Fallout teasers, of the, that iconic sound, that iconic look of that. I forget what those displays are called, but it's like a old style CRT display, and the fuzziness of the audio, and then some like 1950s music. But some of the Fallout fan fictions the fan films have been really well done, and I feel like the Fallout universe would be perfect for a TV show. If you play the game, they're almost a TV show themselves. So I think we're a little further out from that, but man, Amazon Studios is going in with it. They got Fallout now, Lord of the Rings, and it's free with your Amazon Prime membership. So it's very exciting, and it's insane the savings or the benefits of having Amazon Prime at this point. And the last piece of news here, it's a little sad, and very unfortunate, but I was not aware of the streamer, but my friends that are pretty big in the streaming community said he was the top tier guy. He's probably like a few steps under Ninja, But Byron Reckful Bernstein is a well-known Twitch streamer. He committed suicide. That's happy news, right? If you go look at his Twitter feed, it's pretty sad. Some trolling and shit like that going on, man. So it's unfortunate that he lost his life. And, if something's bothering you, definitely get out there and seek some help and reach out to people and stay off the toxicity that is Twitter. Just reading some of the comments people are leaving on his Twitter posts were a little much for me. Essentially, he had proposed to his girlfriend on Twitter, and she was sleeping, and she didn't see it. She wasn't awake for it, and they were like, well, she's not responding, and giving him shit that he's being cringy, and clearly he's mentally unstable and not okay. And unfortunately, it got to him, and he thought his girlfriend was ignoring him, and he took his life, from my understanding, allegedly. But it's very unfortunate, and definitely reach out to somebody if you ever have feelings. If you want to reach out to me, to the 3 people that's probably made it to this point in the show, definitely do that. It's just unfortunate, man. It's very upsetting. I feel like Casey Keenum here, trying to go on to something else now. All right, so that is the end of the show here. This July, the free PS Plus games are Rise of the Tomb Raider, NBA 2K20, and they threw in a bonus game called Erica. I had never heard of this game, but it looks like it looks interesting. It almost reminds me of those 90s motion capture games, or those movies in video games. I forget what those were called. It looks pretty ridiculous. I definitely recommend watching a video of someone playing that. Right now, too, Steam's having crazy sales on games. And one that I recommend you check out, I've been watching videos, but my PC can't run it, is Shield Wall. It's a weird, strategic, cute game that I have no way else to explain. It's pretty original premise and idea. And, man, if my computer was just slightly... It's like I'm a generation behind in graphics cards from the bare minimum. But right now, that's on sale for $7.99. Steam sales right now are insane, so strongly recommend that. Then we'll move over to Xbox free games with gold for July 2020. From available to, let's see, July, that's done. That one's over, unfortunately. So Drunk Lords is available right now. Looks like this is another game I've never even heard about, but almost like NBA Jam mixed with like a Fruit Ninja or something weird. But it's a basketball game with like power-ups and special abilities. So I mean, it's free, so it's worth picking up. Saints Row 2 is available from the 1st to the 15th. Another game that is really odd looking is Juju. It's a cute 2D platform is what it says. It almost reminds me of a Yoshi game. If you ever played any of the Yoshi games on the newer Nintendo consoles. So I think this month, man, it looks like Xbox is definitely winning the free games between Drunk Lords and Juju. But to the PlayStation, man, that Erica, I think it was called. Was it Erica? Let me look at my notes again. Erica. That is another really odd-ass game that I definitely want to pick up, and it's free right now. I'm trying to figure out if they made anything else or who's made this. It's an interactive thriller, so it's not even really a video game. It's almost like a Telltale with real movie in it, like live action. Which these games were huge I don't know if they were huge, but there were definitely a lot of these in the 90s. But yeah, so that is the extent of the show. I do apologize. I'd be shocked if you made it this far. But We have Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff if you want to go follow us over there. Casey will be here next week. So the show will have some normalcy and hopefully won't be as shitty or rambly when I'm on here. But if you guys made this part, man, I really appreciate it. It's been weird having people come up to me and say, like, or knowing people are listening to this, or people telling me they listen to it. But yeah, so thank you, and go check out our social medias and all that stuff. Bye.